If you sew your ZOE jacket without a lining, the hemming of the bottom edge is pretty easy. You just turn in 1 centimeter and turn over for 2 centimeters again, and then you will do a narrow stitch, edge stitch finish to fix it. If you have done a bias tape finish for the edges, you have also the option to just finish with a bias tape for the whole bottom line. Then you would fold over 3 centimeters and sew at 2 centimeters from the bottom line. You will have the bias here, the bias tape, and yeah, that's it basically. I show you how to do the facing without a lining. So here is one sleeve already finished and prepared. I have sewn the facing to the inside. Those of you who have watched the tutorial of how to do the bias bind finish for the seam edges, they know that you can also do this with a bias bind finish. But I decided to show it the classic way because most of those of you who sew the ZOE jacket without a lining will opt for this option. So I have prepared the facing as shown in the instructions. I have closed the short sides. I have pressed over the seam allowance because I have a little bit of a unwilling and sturdy fabric. I have decided to baste it so that it doesn't move away. But this is nothing that you have to do. It's something that you can do, but yeah, depending on your fabric. You will slip the facing with the open side over the sleeve, right size facing, and you will pin the already sewn underarm seam and the underarm seam of the facing directly on top of each other. Make sure that you have a really neat work done here because you want it to be in the same place and to look nicely. Then you will just pin the whole facing to the sleeve hem all the way around and sew with a typical seam allowance of 1 centimeter all the way around. After sewing the facing to the sleeve hem, it's the easiest to turn the sleeve inside out. It's easier to press the seam nicely then, and you will press the seam allowance into one direction, doesn't matter into which. In the instructions I have given one, but yeah, the most important thing is that you have a really nice separation of the both fabrics here on the right side of the jacket, and afterwards you will pull the facing over the sleeve on the inside of the jacket, and I will show you how to continue in a second after I did the pressing job myself. After pressing and making sure that you have a really nice hemline here where you pressed the facing over to the inside, I feel it's really important that you make sure that your underarm seams are really lying on top of each other, because this is what gives your garments clean finishes, if you make sure that those details are really nicely done. I always prefer to also pin loosely around that the hem does not move. And afterwards I will pin also on top of the facing next to where I will sew. This way I can make sure that the fabric is not making any folds on the right side of the fabric, and that everything is evenly distributed. So we have one pin at the top of our future seam, and then we just pin nicely around, making sure that the fabric of our sleeve is distributed nicely to the facing. After finishing the pinning, we will sew with a narrow edge stitch close to the edge of our facing and sew it to the sleeve. Yeah, that's it. That's how you deal with the facing of your sleeve.